All right, so I don't know anything about tractors, so that's kind of where we're starting here. Is what the heck is this thing, and why would somebody that had no intentions of ever owning a tractor end up owning kind of a nice little tractor? It's a 2038R, as you can see here. Comes equipped with a 220R loader. It's very stout. Without any fluids, I believe it weighs about 2,400 pounds. And so, what does it do? Why would anybody want one of these things? I mean, they're expensive, and they require some additional space to keep them nice, and you have to do lots of maintenance on them, greasing joints, for example. There. Well, before I owned any land, I had no intentions of owning one of these things because I'd never even thought of it. But a couple of years ago, we moved away from the city and kind of out to the suburbs of the suburbs, I guess you could say. And I have quite a few animals and quite a few acres, really, comparatively speaking, to where I was at. And so I started seeing that there was various things that you just really you can do with a shovel or a pickaxe or all the other tools that come with this guy, but it's going to take you years and probably some of your health swinging a pickaxe into rock trying to move it or break it into pieces small enough to put in a wheelbarrow. Well, or there's another way. You can get a tractor. It doesn't have to be this color. Apparently that's like a big deal. Like everybody's like, oh my gosh, my tractor's got to be green or red or orange or blue or some weird paint loyalty here. I got this one because I looked at everything that this particular model could do, and I wanted to make sure that I was future proofing myself to some extent. So when I lived in the city, I realized, hey, we own a house now. I need a truck. So I went out and I got a truck that was exactly the right size for my job. It allowed for nothing extra at all. It was a little bitty truck. It was really, really good to me. But I move out here and it's like, okay, well, yeah, I need to haul 7 to 10 yards of dirt and or rock in this case right here, these little pebble rocks. Well, that truck could do it, but it would take me an entire weekend just to go get it from where we are to where the nearest landscaping soil place is, and then back. And I could only do, maybe less than a half a yard at a time. I mean, just to get as much as we have right there, and right here and right over there, would have taken me 14 trips, and that's a lot of driving for us. So, I mean, we had this one hauled up by a dump truck, but this is I guess phase two, but we kind of failed phase one. So now I have this thing. I can move a lot of rock because I've got to do this entire driveway, and it starts here and it goes all the way there. It goes around the house in the back, and then it goes down that direction and it comes that way over there. It's about 500 feet, I guess, with Google Maps or Google Earth's measurements. So that's a lot, and I would have never been able to do that with a shovel. Or it would have taken me so long that I would never be able to do that with a shovel. But so I got this guy, and there's a number of things that it does, and it's really neat. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of these things online, but it's usually from people that know what they're doing, know what they're talking about, have done this their whole life, or they're selling it and they've been trained. Well, I am none of those things, and so going from absolute square one to ending up with this tractor is kind of what this is all about. So the John Deeres, they start at the 1 series, unless you count, literally mowing tractors that you can put a small bucket on. And they go up, and there's the E models and the R models, and the R's are the nicer ones. They usually come with a few features standard that are really cool. The 1025R would have probably done everything that I needed it to do. But the 2 Series has a couple of advantages, and it's very confusing the way that John Deere has done the model naming. So for the 1 Series, they're a particular frame size, but they're not necessarily that much less horsepower than this thing is, depending on how scientifically you want to look at horsepower. It's not a very good representation of what this tractor can do compared to one that has less horsepower. It's really not, especially at the low number differences between, say, the 1025, which is 25 horse, and the 2038R, which is 38 horse, if you haven't guessed a correlation there. So with this one, what it does that the 1 Series doesn't is, first of all, it's a bigger frame. It's a larger tractor overall, and that might seem kind of intuitive, but the 2025R is the same frame size. It's the same size as the other one. There's very little differences, and from me, a guy that knows nothing about tractors, the only thing I notice is that guy and that guy on the 1025 are a particular size. The 2025R are bigger. The tires are bigger. The frame is the same. The horsepower is the same. A lot of the other things, it's just, the only difference really is bigger tires from just standing there looking at them. I'm sure there's a multitude of differences if you go to like a spec sheet or anything, but I'm not going in depth here. So, because that's not who I am as a consumer, I'm not prepared to do that. Hey, did you just pee on my tractor? Ah, you are a horrible puppy, and you're interrupting my video. Anyway, so the 2038R and its smaller sibling, the 2032R, are the real 2 Series. The 2025R is just a in-betweener between the 1 and the 2 Series. The real 2 Series have the capability to do a special mowing function where you can control everything about the mower from up here. The 1025 and below, they can mount a belly mower like this one can, but they don't get the fancy electronics that, you know, can make sure that the cut's a certain size, and you can always go back to a couple of different settings on it, and it's all done electronically, which really I guess I felt was a really important expansion thing for this tractor, because the whole point here is learn how to move rocks with that pile there, putting them on my driveway. And then in the distance there you see a gate, and beyond that gate is almost 4 acres of nothing but head and fist size rocks rolling down a hill, and I'm losing all of my soil up there. So this guy's going to help me remediate the land a little bit, possibly build a small retaining wall, so any work excuse me, any work that I do doesn't just, you know, be for nothing, because I'm putting a lot of dirt on my neighbor's land down in that valley. And one of the key features of the 2 Series is that additional clearance, so I can probably get this thing down the hill with those rocks, especially if I flip out the small ones first that are kind of sticking up. So just some various things. You get a 3-point hitch. I don't know if I'm ever going to use it. The rake functions on the as far as attachments might get used, because then I can just easily scrape up small fist-sized rocks and not have to worry about trying to get those in the bucket or by hand, and that's a pretty good idea. I can scrape them into piles and then pick them up with a bucket, and that probably will happen. But as far as everything else, you know, you got your brake. It's got this little thing right here where you can flip that out and operate them independently. That's never going to happen for me. In fact, I hope I never have to use a brake, because the hydrostatic transmission that comes standard in this thing pretty much stops this tractor on flat ground without me needing to push the brake. And then of course I got the parking brake, so I can just set that. This guy here is a way to lock the rear differential. This is the 4-wheel drive thing, toggle, I guess you could say. It fights me. I haven't figured out how to do it right yet. as basic as that sounds. Oh, neat. And apparently this guy just comes apart like that. I did not know that, and now I gotta fix it. It's pretty funny. And all in all, it's a really good little tractor. I'm very excited about getting really proficient with it, and then really getting some of the jobs done that I've been kind of having stack up because I didn't have a tractor. And unfortunately, this right here is a problem. So I think they're not laying in the shade of the tractor. I think they're laying on the cool rocks. So we're gonna have to fix that. I got my boy and his wife over there kind of away from this thing by putting up their toys, but this one right here likes hanging out with people so much she might have to go into the house. Huh, Lieben? Lieben. Do you need to go in the house so that you're not tempted to lay down in front of a piece of equipment that I can't see the front of? Yeah? We don't want to run over any puppies, especially cute ones like this one. Oh, I like your eyeshadow. Are you trying to be Avril? Huh? Wear tons of eyeshadow? I think that's the word for it. But so far this thing's been doing really good. I haven't been doing very good at all because I can't seem to get another bucket load out of that thing right there. It just seems to be pushing it around, so I got to get back to work and learn how to operate this piece of equipment a little bit better. But I figured I would show everybody out there my new toy, mostly my family. All right, that's good.